Tuesday afternoon, just outside La Paz, Bolivia. You find yourself on a bike with a group of strangers you just met, 14,000 feet above sea level, with another 2,000 feet of climbing before you reach the summit. This episode is sponsored by the Pros Closet. Meet the strangers. Nigel, cancer survivor and researcher, former speed skiing record holder, broke his hip 2 months before the trip but still decided to come. Bruce, with his wife Stacy, is on a journey to ride the top 100 climbs in the United States. In 2020, Stacy rode 1 million feet of elevation. Bruce did a measly 926,000 feet. Slacker. Charlie. During lunch in La Paz yesterday, Charlie casually mentions that he did not find Mauna Kea terribly difficult. Meanwhile, PJAMM and other sources call it the most difficult climb in the world. Luke. This man literally eats the world's toughest climbs for breakfast. Immediately after Bolivia, he will fly to the Alps and ride for a month. John Johnson, our ringleader and founder of PJAMM. Over the next few days, you will learn he is the grittiest human you have ever met. Javier, talented cinematographer and drone operator, and possibly the only sane person on this trip.
Michelle will probably tell me to pay attention to the road.
Cello, your guide and hero. A former Bolivian national champion with the driest sense of humor south of the equator. Tomorrow, you and this group of strangers from around the world will ride up Bolivia's death road together, but today is a test ride to check your equipment. The city of La Paz is 11,893 feet above sea level, and you felt it when you arrived. Your heart rate has consistently been 20 to 30 beats per minute higher than normal, so you start out slow.
This is the summit, right?
It's not a big climb today, but it is your first time above 10,000 feet. And you don't know how your body will respond. Cello tells you the ride will actually start outside the city at 14,000 feet. Great. You start at a casual pace, but your heart doesn't seem to get the message. It jumps to 170 beats per minute. You slow to a crawl, hoping to stabilize, and the rest of the group passes by you. You began to wonder if you bit off too much with this trip. If you can't survive this small climb, how are you supposed to make it up the death road tomorrow?
There he goes.
You think back to the first conversation you had with John Johnson when he invited you on the trip. The video might be called "I Tried the Ride Up the Death Road," you told him. He laughed, but now that you're here, it's not so funny. Nothing about this trip has been easy. You barely made your flight because the ticket agent refused to accept your visa documentation and issue a boarding pass. If their shift hadn't ended, you'd probably still be in Los Angeles right now. Each pedal stroke hurts because you sprained your ankle yesterday while walking around La Paz. Now you're sporting a compression sock and you know the cycling fashion police are going to have a field day when they see this. But at least you have your bike, because 24 hours ago you didn't.
So finally arrived in La Paz. I made it. I made both flights, but my bike didn't. My bike is still in Los Angeles.
This video is sponsored by the Pros Closet. So it'd be a real shame if the bike they provided specifically for this trip never arrived. You gave the bike a proper test ride last week at the Whiskey Tango Fondo in California, and it performed perfectly. Of course, you already knew it would, because the Pros Closet performs a 141-point inspection on every certified pre-owned bike they sell. And when you realized you need a power meter too, you found the perfect option on their site. Unlike the airline that lost your bike, the Pros Closet is super easy to use, and their customer service is fantastic. You realize the viewer may like to know that they can receive up to $40 off orders of $200 or more if they use the code MitchB40. The viewer may also like to know there's a link in the description. After your first 2 days in La Paz are spent trying to figure out how you will spin this video if you have to rent a bike, finally, the airline calls with some good news.
There it is.
Maybe this trip has taken a turn for the better. With the 10-mile climb behind you, it's time to descend for 45 miles, all the way down to the little town of Yolosa. That night, you'll stay in a beautiful hotel in a tropical climate at 3,000 feet above sea level. But right now, you're at 15,000 feet, and you better layer up if you don't want to freeze.
How do you like my fashion today?
Cello and Nigel take off first, and you try to catch up. Even with Nigel playing it safe, he's still super quick. The slow, sweeping turns make it the perfect descent, and because of the knobbly gravel tires you're running, you barely have to touch your brakes. In fact, you even need to pedal a little bit every time you pass a truck, which will happen a lot over the next several hours.
How was the descent?
Fantastic.
Oh man.
Stunning. Trying to decide whether to focus on the road or the surroundings.
I know, yeah. How'd you like it?
Sorry, mate. I didn't know that.
Nigel offers to share his photos like this one for the video. The other guys offered theirs as well.
Gracias. Wow.
You have any ketchup?
Qué rico.
Luke zooms ahead, in pursuit of a bonus climb up to the town of Coryoko. The rest of the group decides the descent is more than enough, especially since tomorrow you're going to ride up the death road. You fall into a rhythm as you chase Cello and Nigel down the mountain. Two cyclists much more skilled than you are. And even though you don't say much, there's something special about sharing an epic descent together. Three hours ago, you started your descent with a handful of strangers. And now, with only a few miles left to go, you enter the town of Yolosa, not with strangers, but with friends.
And I stayed on the right.
Oh yeah, that section was crazy.
As you ride in the van to your hotel in Coryoko, watching the sunset behind the mountains, you pinch yourself. You're in Bolivia. And for the first time all day, you're excited about tomorrow's ride. Thanks again to the Pros Closet for sponsoring this video. Use the link in the description to get up to $40 off your order. Stay tuned for the next episode in Bolivia, coming out soon.